How many people from Sunday's teaching about being passive aggressive, you discovered you had some stuff? So as I've been doing this research, this is and really looking at this in depth, this is going to be good for us tonight. Lift your Bibles out. Let's make our confession of faith together. I'm unconditionally loved by God and at Horace. Wait a minute, stop. Look at me, Horace. You're here when you. I can't speak for no words. When you come here, listen to me. I don't care what your problem is. I don't care where you've been. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care who else don't care. When you come here, you are loved unconditionally. When you step in them doors of 14100, and maybe you're an internet campus viewer, when you went to harvestcc.me, you just got a taste of unconditional love. All right, just want you to know that. Let's say it together. I come to him just as I am, but I won't stay as I am, because the message I'm prepared to receive will make me more like the great I am. I am blessed and I am favored in Jesus' name. Remain standing. Go to Romans chapter 7. We're going to dive into this very expeditiously tonight, because there's a lot of ground I want to cover to help us tonight. We're doing our series, and we're completing our series about let's talk about sex, love, and relationships. Romans 7 verse 19. For the good that I will to do, I do not do, but the evil in Hebrew means contrary to. So he says, it's contrary to my own success, yet I do it. It's contrary to my own good, but I do it. Look at your neighbor and say, contrary to. Well, watch this. You talking about, Bishop, I want to lose weight, yet you just can't stop going to Krispy Kreme after 11. And somehow the car accidentally found its way in the drive-thru. Now, not during the fast now. Because you said, Bishop, it say hot donuts available. I just was hot. Verse 20. Now, if I do what I will not to do, it is no longer I who do it, but sin that dwells in me. Verse 23. But I see another law in my members, warring. Say war. But please understand, some of y'all are in World War Me right now. Some of y'all, right? I'm going to say it again. You're in World War Me right now. If that's you, look at your neighbor and say, talking about me. Now, they didn't say, I'm talking about them, they're a liar. But they're going to become a Christian before church is over. And bringing me into the captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. Look what he says. It makes me captive. I don't want to act that way, but I'm a captive of that way. I don't want to be bitter, but I'm captive by my bitter. I don't want to be mad, but I'm captive by my bitterness. I don't want to have a bad attitude, but I'm captive by my bad attitude. I don't want to act crazy with you, but I'm captive by it. Which means if you are captive, what do you need to have? Freedom. I dare you to look at your neighbor and say, but tonight. See, if y'all would start coming in here with some expectation, you'd see stuff start happening for you quickly. It don't take God all week. It don't take God all year. I'm going to tell you, somebody holler tonight. Tonight, that thing can loose you and let you go. Watch. He says, verse 24, oh, wretched. Modern, oh ratchet man that I am, who is going to deliver me? Now this is a leader speaking, so in other words he's saying I helps the peoples, but who's going to help the helper of the peoples? For some of y'all, you to strengthen your family. He said, Bishop, I get my family together, but why ain't none of them there to help me when I need somebody? Look. But I like what he says. Who will deliver me from this body of death? Look at verse 25. He said, I got the answer. I thank God through Jesus Christ our Lord. Will somebody shout that name out tonight? Because that's the name that's getting ready to set you free tonight. Father, I decrease, you might increase. Speak to us tonight with clarity. Speak to us tonight with power, that we would walk in what you've ordained. In Jesus' name, somebody shout hallelujah. As you take your seats, high five 2 or 3 people. Tell them it's complicated. It's complicated. It's complicated. It's complicated. I want to jump right into this. As we conclude this series about sex, love, and relationships, I want to remind you that through the years I've done many series that I encourage you to get and listen to. Now, in part 1 of this message, we looked at Romans 7. Say Romans 7. Where the writer describes an internal war, and his internal war causes him to do what he hates to do, and essentially the right that he wants to do, he doesn't do. And he says that because he's been in this eternal war, he's been in World War Me for so long, it's not even him doing it consciously anymore. It is the sin or the error that dwells in him. And watch this, it's become his default. Somebody say default. The default that you go to when you get under pressure is the real you. And the issue is you've gotten so used to changing fruit, you never actually went to the root to deal with the main thing. You're so used to faking it until you make it that your fake is your reality. You're so used to hoping and wishing and praying that your hoping and wishing and praying is your reality. So watch this now. But your default, somebody say default. The only way to really see changes in your life is to change your default. What's the first thing you do when you get under pressure? Because that's the real you. Somebody say that's the real me. So if something negative happens, if the first thing that you want to do is cuss, that's your default. If the first thing you want to do is quit, that's your default. If the first thing you want to do is run, that's your default. If the first thing you want to do is cuss somebody out, that's your default. If the first thing you want to do is quit God, that's your default. But tonight, look at your neighbor and say, reset your default. If you don't reset your default, you're going to have a sorry 15, a sorry 16, and a sorry 17. In fact, when you get in front of God, God's going to say you wasn't nothing but sorry your whole life. But I think I'm preaching to some people tonight that say, I may have made some mistakes back then, but that was then and this is now. And I refuse to perpetually repeat the same issues and the same mistakes over and over and over again. I may have messed up last month. I may have messed up yesterday morning, but today, touch your neighbor and say, you are brand new. The scripture says that every morning I get a fresh dose of mercy, which means when I got up this morning, I used all of yesterday's mercy yesterday. But today when I woke up, the scripture says God gave me a fresh dose of mercy. Mercy is when he doesn't allow the negative that should happen to me to happen to. The only reason you ain't been fired is because of mercy. The only reason they haven't taken the house is because of mercy. The only reason you're not sick in your body is because of mercy. The only reason the sickness in your body can't kill you is because of mercy. Would you touch your neighbor and say mercy? He says it's his default. And although he sees it's not working, doing it his way, it's become his habit. So he does it on autopilot. Say autopilot. I've told y'all before, I like watching these shows about how planes crash because there's a lot of leadership lessons. One of the most disturbing things about watching why planes crash is because you discover a lot of times it's not the plane, it's the pilot. In fact, the number one reason for plane crashes is pilot error. Say pilot error. They forget their training under pressure. Now watch this. Oftentimes what I've discovered is sometimes, watch this, they put the autopilot on and forgot. Hundreds of people have died because they turned on autopilot, but somebody in the cockpit forgot that autopilot was on. And so now all of a sudden they get an alert, says you're too close to the ground, pull up. The problem is now that they're trying to adjust their autopilot, it's too late because they're crashing. I came to tell somebody tonight, don't treat this series and don't treat these messages just as nice suggestions. You got to treat these as God giving you an alert to say change your default and change your autopilot. Touch your neighbor and say you must change it. He goes on to say that his default wars against the right that he's learning. And the war gets so bad that he calls himself a wretched man. And wretched there in Greek means, watch this, full of calluses. And I told you that a callus is a hard formation of tissue formed over a wound. Say hard tissue over a wound. Anybody ever had a callus? Some of y'all hands got calluses now. Some of y'all feet got calluses because your feet have been in a war with your shoe. You got vegetables in your shoes. Corns, okra, black-eyed peas, you got all kind of. Now, watch this, watch this. Here's what happens. Here's what happens. Touch your neighbor and say, this is good for you. Watch this. What happens is he says he's calloused. He says, oh, wretched man, oh, calloused man that I am. In other words, he says, my previous wounds didn't heal properly. I rushed so fast to try to get over the pain, painkillers. I rushed so fast to get over the pain that I never healed. I was distracted. And there is a difference between being healed and being distracted. He says, I'm a calloused man. Say calloused. Now, watch this, watch this. And he says, it causes me to act against how I want to because I have previous wounds that did not heal properly. And it's complicated, hence the title of the teaching, because while we're wrestling within ourselves, we can act passive-aggressive towards others. Now, this is so important because most people think they are not passive-aggressive, which is proof that they are passive-aggressive. Somebody go get me a knife, a big old butcher knife. I'm serious. Somebody give me a knife, a big butcher knife. One of like them Jason knives. Now, not yet. Now, watch this. We got into this, but we're going to go a little further. Passive-aggressive. Now, watch this. The war is with who? In the individual. But who gets the friendly fire of everybody else. Some of you, people ain't even mad at you. They mad at 10 years ago people. You just happen to be the one in the ring when the war started. Are you still here? All right, now watch this. Passive aggressive is an extremely ineffective form of communication. So I need you to get this. It's a person's way of communicating, but it's ineffective. How do children communicate when they want something? They holler. Now, it's cute to be 1 and do that. It's a mess to be 31 and do that. 41, 51, 61. But watch this. If nobody ever told you, here it is. Watch this here. Oh, yes, sir. Love God. Love people. Love life. Now watch this. I'm gonna use I'm gonna use this here. I'm gonna show you what it looks like. I'm gonna show you what passive aggressive is in just a moment. Now, watch this. Touch your neighbor and say, it's not cute, nor becoming of a grown person to be passive aggressive. Now, watch this. But watch this. How did you learn how to communicate? Because it's an ineffective form of communication. I need you Christian people to get this, because you Christian people a lot of times want to put oil on everything, and Bishop, just surge, pray it off of me. Problem is, I can't pray you up out of you. So if you still therein lay the problem. That's why Paul said, who shall deliver me from this body of death? Well, whose body is he talking about? His. So what was he saying? Who's going to deliver me from me? It's one thing to be delivered from drugs, one thing to be delivered from alcohol, one thing to be delivered from this, one thing to be delivered from that. But how do you get delivered from you? That's your neighbor said, that's a good question. How do you get rid of the problem when you're the problem? Preach, Bishop. Y'all ain't pulling me into that today. I'm not into that passive-aggressive congregation communication. Question is, how did you learn how to communicate? Family. You learn how to communicate from family folk. You know who you most learned how to communicate from? The family folks you didn't like. That's who you learned how to communicate from. You didn't even like them, but watch this, because you were focused on them, you learned from them. I feel like teaching it here tonight. The people you said, I don't want to be nothing like that, that's who taught you the most. Because you studied it to know you didn't want to be it. The problem is you studied it. Now, watch this. You learn from family. You learn from friends who learn from families. You learn from school. Got it? You learn from work. Or you learn from the culture of the community that you were reared in. Now, watch this. Passive aggressive is then, watch this, learned behavior. You learned how to communicate like that. You learned how to act that way. You learned, watch this, because here's what passive aggressive is. I want to show it to you. Now, here's what it is. What's wrong with you? Nothing. Y'all don't see this here? How's your day? It was fine. It's quiet up in this church. Do you want to talk about it? No. Well, there's something wrong in it. I'm fine. I don't know what's wrong with you. I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? It is a knife covered in something else. And the trip about it is, they ain't even trying to cut you. They trying to cut somebody that's gone. Now, watch this. I'm going to leave my knife here. Glory. Now, it is the indirect. See the analogy? Passive aggressive is indirect. You covered it in something else. See, you covered it in love God, love people, love life. You covered it in, well, I just have some questions. It's quiet in here. And what happens is that what you think, because see, watch this. Passive, the towel. aggressive, the knife. So you think, well, I didn't say anything wrong, right, except for the fact that everybody else sees the knife. And watch this. And here's the trip about it. Here's the trip about it. What you really need to know is passive-aggressive behavior. While you're pointing it at people, it's really pointed at you. Got it? Because we're going to dig in this tonight. We're going to dig in this tonight. Touch your neighbor and say, let's dig. It is the indirect expression of hostility through procrastination, intentional ignorance, stubbornness, being moody, being intentionally sluggish, gloomy, irritable, ill-tempered, intentionally reserved and silent, snappy, or deliberately and repeatedly failing to accomplish tasks you're given. Listen to this. It especially manifests in reaction to demands by authority figures. See, because cousin Bootsy messed with you when you were a child, now you don't trust nobody. And so now you figure the way you're going to teach cousin Bootsy a lesson is not do what your boss says. But you ain't going to tell him I'm mad at cousin Bootsy. And so I ain't going to do what you say. What you're going to do is say, well, why do we have to do it like that? Problem is, I don't know who gave you the right to question something. You ever seen people question stuff and you're like, well, can you give me some fruit in your life to demonstrate to me why you're qualified to question this? Do you have one accomplishment you can name to your name to give me a reason why you believe you got a right to question this? You know, they call know-nothing know-it-alls, you know. Now, watch this. Listen to this. And interpersonal context, which means passive-aggressive behavior. Listen to me, people of God. Passive-aggressive behavior manifests with authority figures. Watch this. And interpersonal context. What does that mean? People you care about the most. You are passive-aggressive with the most. When you don't care nothing about them, you just tell them like a TI is. You'll be like, I don't like your suit. You're going to be like, I ain't never liked you, just so we clear. So ain't no ambiguity. You ain't got to wonder why I'm standing with you. You're direct with people you don't care about. But you're passive-aggressive with people you do care about, which means passive-aggressive, if we want to make it spiritual, is really an attack of Satan to try to get you to mess up the connections you need to surge. Y'all ain't going to say nothing to me. But I tell you to look over at your neighbor and say, not me any longer. Watch this. Watch this. It is especially damaging for men because according to the book, Living with Passive-Aggressive Man, a passive man does little to get what he wants in life because it requires too much effort. And this type of man ranges from the inept loser type to the conformist who does anything to be liked. These men fail. Did you hear what I just said? It's especially dangerous in men because it takes you to, us as, according to the book, it takes you, this particular book, takes you to two different extremes. One, you just, nah, I'm not going to try. I'm just going to do this. I ain't going to do that. I ain't going to try to do this. I ain't going to try to be better. I ain't going to try to be excellent. I ain't going to try to serve. I ain't going to try to do this. I ain't going to try to do nothing. I'm just going to play it safe, which means whack, which means average. Got it? Then the flip side of it is then you become a conformist that does whatever you think anybody wants you to do, and even if it's people that you know are beneath the level of life God has ordained for you to do. So you sitting up smoking weed, yet you talking about you love the Lord. You sitting up drinking, y'all ain't saying nothing. You sitting up drinking, talking about you love the Lord. Well, wait a minute. Why are you being brought into that? Because you're passive-aggressive. Are you hearing it? All right, now watch this. We got to push this another further. Touch your neighbor, so let's go further. A passive-aggressive behavior, watch this, as I said, is like a knife covered with something else. They're not really mad at you. They're mad at someone or something else, and you happen to be the one they take it out on. Which is why when you listen to their explanations make no sense. Got it? You're like, what? You're like, what are you talking about? Now, I can tell I'm in your Kool-Aid because it's getting quiet. All right, all right. And so when you listen, and we're going to get into that stuff, when you listen to their explanations, you're like, what does that have to do with that? I'm talking about this here bottle. You sitting up here bringing up the car. This bottle ain't been nowhere near the car. Watch this. Let's go another further. Watch this. Some of us, and we looked at these first 9 things. We're going to go further into them and get into some new ones. We'll have more of these traits and others less, but all of us will identify something, and we got to break it. Say we have to break it. Remember, the writer of Romans says he's a captive, which means he's been captured, but he's not dead. He's got some issues, but he's still fighting. Can I tell you the reason why God has been so good to you is because even despite your issues and even despite your pain and even despite what you've been dealing with, God says you're still fighting. And God says, I like a fighter. I like somebody that gets up and says, this is the day that the Lord has made. Touch your neighbor and say, I'm still a fighter. God says, I like people like that. I like people that can get knocked down but get right back up. I like people that can take a licking but keep on ticking. I like people that can go to hell but come back licking an ice cream cone. Tell your neighbor, I am a fighter. I may have got knocked down, but baby, this fight's got more than one round. You may have lost the last battle, but baby, a war is not won with one battle. I may have dealt with some issues, but I'm still pressing through. Touch your neighbor, say, you are a fighter. All right, once he says, I'm captive, which means I can fight. Verse 23, but I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind. What is he saying? He's saying, I've been taught to do better, but my default's fighting against what I've been taught. You ever been in the middle of something and you just learned what to do on Sunday at church? Sunday after church, the test shows up for what you learned. Y'all ain't gonna talk to him? And watch this. The war starts. Because you're like, Bishop just said, when you see crazy come across the street. I saw crazy. I opened the car door, let him in, turned the music on, took to the house. What the heaven? Are you here? So look at what he says. He says, I see another law in my members, in my body, warring against the law of my mind. He says, I've been taught to do it, but my default's fighting. And it brings me into captivity. It takes me prisoner. I get stuck and act like I don't know. That's what some of you at right now. You're stuck about stuff you shouldn't be stuck about. You're confused about stuff you shouldn't be confused about. You're worried about stuff you shouldn't be worried about because you're captive. Well, I got good news. Somebody give me some keys. I got good news tonight. When Jesus spoke to the apostles, he said, I give to you the keys of the kingdom. And whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Well, as a bishop, I'm a descendant of the apostles. Which means if he gave them the keys, that means I got to set up here. And tonight, touch your neighbor and say, I'm going to hold on to Bishop's keys. Tonight, I declare you're coming out of that captivity. You're coming out of that prison. And whatever we bind on earth tonight is going to be bound in heaven. Look at your neighbor and say, you're coming out tonight. You can borrow my keys. I need them back in the morning, though. Watch. So we looked at 9 things. Number 1, they deliberately forget to do things. Number 2, they say yes when they have no intention to follow through. Passive-aggressive people often robustly agree to things face-to-face, and then they feign or fake and conjure up illnesses or emergencies. Watch this. For some of y'all, the reason why you're sick is because you make yourself sick because you're passive-aggressive. That's why when you go to the doctor, they're like, we don't know. I tell you what it is, passive-aggressive. Your body produced the sickness to cover a lie. I feel like teaching tonight. Number 3, they engage in backstabbing behavior. They're likely to complain to everyone except the person with the power to change things or who their issues with. Number 4, they're inefficient on purpose. They are stubborn, and when they don't want to do something, normally because of a fear of failure, they often become as inefficient as possible to avoid getting the job done. You know you're supposed to be at church at 8:30. You call the line at 8:29. What? You didn't know? Okay, fine, Bishop. Yes, sir. Come on, give it to them. All right, number 5, they mask their resentment with a smile. They have years of resentment and bitterness built up, and it's lurking beneath a phony smile or laugh, which is why their jokes often make no sense. And you're not laughing with them, you're laughing at them. They're telling a joke, and you're like, what? And you laugh because you're a good Christian and you want them to feel included. But you're thinking to yourself, what? They seek revenge. Number 6, they go to great lengths to retaliate against individuals they believe have taken advantage of them, and their plots for revenge are indirect, like email, text, and social media posts. They ain't gonna tell you. They're gonna tell their 32 friends. It's quiet up in here. And then you just happen, watch this, the Holy Ghost lets you see it. You wasn't even trying to look. I'm talking to somebody. And the Holy Ghost be like, look. Watch this. Give me some scary music. Give me that Jason. That'll work. Do Michael Myers Halloween. Do that. These grown people in here. You don't know. Okay, y'all send him the thing so he can have my Michael Myers music. I should have told him in advance. I didn't know. Got it? Are you still here? Okay, watch this. Michael Myers, by the way, was passive aggressive. Killing all these people, and he really mad at his mama. Okay, watch this. How many folks have you killed emotionally, and you're really mad at your mama? You're really mad at your daddy. While you trying to judge Mikey. All right. I'm saying something. You done murdered 40 people with your mouth, with your emotional terrorism. I feel like teaching tonight. You know what a terrorist is? A terrorist, to strike fear in the hearts of people, does, watch this, blow stuff up to create fear. So they'll make a big old scene. Okay, come here, scene makers. That's why some of y'all ain't saying nothing, because you're the chief scene maker. It was a simple misunderstanding at the Chick-fil-A, and you didn't cause the scene. Oh, no, I'm not the one. I asked for 2 waffle fries. 2 waffle fries. You ain't supposed to be having no fries for these last 4 days, depending on the oil they're in. Get the book. Now, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. So it's emotional terrorism. So they blow stuff up. They have big old scenes, big old stuff, because they're trying to terrorize you, to make you better, I'm going to do it. And the problem is that when you're a terrorist, is sometimes you got to wear white because you'll blow yourself up. Let me talk to all of you emotional terrorists in here. You better stop that, because one time you're going to hit the button and the button ain't going to get dim. But it's passive aggressive. Why not just say that hurt? Have they got it to you yet? Not yet. Okay, we're working on it. All right, watch this. Number 7, they exhibit learned helplessness. They act helpless, so rather than resolve problem, they convince themselves there's no use in trying because it won't work anyway. You met people like this say, well, have you tried to talk to so-and-so? Well, no, because they probably ain't going to answer. But did you call? One time I was talking to somebody about business. I said, I want you to start a business. And when they wanted to start a business, I said, I want you to get into business. And we were talking about business. And when we were talking about business, I said, I want you to get in this business. I want this. I said, I'm going to lay the plan out for you. I said, I know how to take something, nothing, and turn it into something. I've been doing that my whole life. I specialize in taking zeros and turning them into superheroes. I know how to take nothing and turn it into something. You give me some beans, and I will have you a bean pie franchise. Y'all ain't said that. You give me a mic, and I will, listen, I know how to take nothing and turn it into something. I've been doing that my whole life. And so I said, okay, so I said, do you follow these steps? And when you do this, do that. And then start talking. I said, have you followed these steps? Well, no, because, I said, now, wait a minute now. Now, what did you understand about what I said to do? I said, this is what you need to do. And I said, you're self-defeating. You haven't even tried. Watch this, because you fear failing. And failure is connected to rejection. So really, you fear, watch this, you'd rather be average than be rejected. And can I tell you, if the Bible makes you choose, if you have to choose, the Bible says you better take rejection over a fear of being average. Bishop, what are you saying? Joseph was rejected by his own blood. Ooh, but he didn't become average, because years later, when his brothers were starving, they needed him. I'm going to tell somebody, there's some folk that's rejected you, but God says, I got good news, because before it's all over. Watch. They say there's no use in trying because it's not going to work anyway. Number 8, they go to great lengths to avoid confrontation. They intentionally dodge and run from situations that require confrontation, and give incongruent communication like, that's fine, whatever. But hidden in that's fine, whatever, is a keep asking me, because my mama didn't pay me no attention. So I want you to pay me some attention. Keep asking me. Ask me again. Ask me again. Please ask me. You're going to get free tonight. You're going to get free tonight. I got the sword in my hand. You're going to get free tonight. Tell your neighbor, say you're getting free tonight. All right, because I'm going to tell you how to fix that. Because the truth is, there it is. Thank you. Yes. Now listen, he's going through some situations in life. But he's mad at his mama because his mama, okay, wait a minute, hold up. Michael's mama, put it like this. Everybody in Haddonfield knew Michael's mama. Everybody knew her. And the daughter was just like the mama. So watch this. I'm going to preach off of Michael Myers. Y'all ain't saying that. So one day when Michael needed his sister's attention, she was doing what the mama was doing. I'm going to preach my own self. And so watch this. So as he goes upstairs, he says, I can't believe she ain't paying me no attention and mama ain't paying me no attention. So Michael became, Bishop, how do you know it was passive aggressive? He wore a mask to do it. He hid behind something else when all he had to do was say, Mama, why you don't want me? There it is. All he had to do was say, sis, we really ain't going trick-or-treating tonight. I've been waiting a whole year to go trick-or-treating. So now he's angry, homicidal, sociopathic, pathological. He said, Bishop, I ain't never done that. No, not literally. But if we were to check your life, you got a trail of blood from folks that you done just sliced up. They'll say stuff like, well, if you don't care about my feelings, then you don't have to do it. Which is really them saying, I want you to care about my feelings, so please do it. But I want you to do it because you want to, not because I want you to. But really, it's not because of nothing you've done. It's because somebody else done. And before, watch this, I'm going to come down your street. And before, when I put that much effort into it, it didn't look like it paid off. So the reason I don't want to put that much effort into this and talking to you is because I'm scared it might not pay off. So I'd resort to passive aggressiveness. Y'all still here? All right? They refuse to admit their feelings are hurt, so they don't seem passive. They don't want to seem weak. I'm strong. Bishop, I'm strong. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Let me come over to the fellas. Bishop, I'm about it. I got what it takes. Some of y'all don't know. No, Bishop, I don't need all that. I ain't in all of that. Problem is your actions tell a different story. Your mouth says one thing. Your actions testify to something else. Are you still here? Now, watch this. So because they don't want to seem weak, they become aggressive. Got it? So rather than breaking down and crying, they harden up. It's quiet here. And so the problem is while they busy getting, all straight out of Denver, but they doing all this. Straight out of South Aurora. Southlands. Northfield. Castle Rock Outlets. Okay, why did But I think some people say, I ain't straight out of that. I'm straight out the kingdom. That's what who God says I am and what God says I can have. All right. Now, watch this. Number 9, they manipulate people. Passive aggressive people are manipulative. For example, we looked at this in part 1. Instead of asking for help to carry a box, passive aggressive people say, I'm probably going to just hurt my back carrying that box up the stairs all by myself. Instead of saying, you know what, can you explain that to me? They just say, well, you know, just different things happen and just, you know, I don't agree with everything. I'm just confused as to who asked you whether or not they cared. It's quiet up in here. I must be all up in the Kool-Aid. I'm going to use this to stir the Kool-Aid. This is going to be my Kool-Aid stir. When we break the fast, I'm going to use this to stir the Kool-Aid. You're going to be like, what Bishop over there doing? Stirring the Kool-Aid, baby. Stir the Kool-Aid. That Kool-Aid is going to be powerful. All right, now watch this. All of these traits can fit into 4 categories of behavior, as described by the late Theodore Milan. Now watch this. There's 4 categories. Say 4 categories. All right, now I want you to write these down if you're taking notes. If you're not taking notes, can you just please look down while I say them real quickly so that at least I get the impression you're taking notes. I'm just being facetious. Watch this. The first is vacillating. Passive-aggressive people vacillate. They're like this. I'm in, I'm out. I'm committed, I don't know. I might not. You know what? Yes, I do. I feel good. I don't. They vacillate. Whatever way the wind blows that day, that's the version of them you get. And if something good happened to them that morning, you get good version. Something negative happened to them, you get I need some time version. Let me just handle this right now version. Preach, Bishop. They vacillate. So their emotions fluctuate in bewildering, perplexing, listen to this according to the psychologists, and enigmatic ways. Enigmatic means mysterious, enigma. Edward Nigma from Batman. The Riddler. Their emotions are riddles. And when you ask them about it, you're like, what? I feel like stepping all up in your stuff right here. So you're like, what's going on with you? I don't know. How you don't know what's going on with you? Because you're an enigma. But you're an enigma because you don't want to seem weak, but you're aggressive to the wrong people. Preach, Bishop. It's difficult to fathom or comprehend their own capricious moods. Bishop, what does capricious mean? Sudden, listen to this, and unaccountable. They'll switch moods, and when you call them on it, they'll say, well, deal with it. But I'm just on one. Well, you need to come up off one. You pay for one, then you can be on it all day. Pay for 10. It's quiet here. Watch this. It's difficult to fathom. They don't understand it, but it's sudden and unaccountable. There's no account for it. So they'll just have a mood swing and then just everybody's got to deal with it until they feel like they're out of it. And then they come downstairs talking about what y'all doing. I don't want to talk to you. You just acted a fool. Go back upstairs, Uncle Pete. Soul food, soul food, soul food. The movie Soul Food. You done acted a fool and think I want to sit up. I don't want to talk to you. Just because you done stabbing, well, I need to go, watch this. Since you wouldn't say something healing, I got to go heal myself. It's quiet here. So especially parents and leaders, this is really important because watch this. If you chop your children up, and then you come back to me, let's go get some ice cream. I don't want to go nowhere with you to get no ice cream. You're crazy. Husbands with your wives, you can chop her all up. Or wives with your husband, because there's some knife bearers, women. There's some women with some battling axes. You understand? Chop him up. You ain't nothing. I shouldn't have married you. Know how? That's why I understand it. And you see, your mama had told me, and this and this and this and this and this. What you want to eat tonight? I don't want you cooking me nothing. Might put something off in it. Are you here? It's capricious. It's sudden and it's unaccountable. They won't even explain it. You just got to deal with it. And the problem with that is now I need to take, now let's go deep, because Bishop, that's real nice and psychological, and that's great. Okay, let's go spiritual. That's witchcraft. Because you're attempting to manipulate people through manipulation, domination, mood swings to try to change them to come to you. And the scripture says a witch should not be suffered to live. Which means you keep doing that, you're going to find yourself. You still here? Say, witch, don't think of brooms and broomsticks and cauldrons and all that kind of stuff. That ain't a witch. That's a woman that needs to go get a relaxer. Oh, I know y'all ain't doing that now. I don't know. Talking about all natural. Love God, love people. No, I'm just playing. They told me, I was asking some ladies the other day, and they said, no, Bishop, you don't get relaxers no more. You get, what they do? They flat iron it. And I said, well, as long as they can get to the roots. Yeah, Lord. Because if they can't get to the roots, you need to go on and put some chemical off up in it, because I don't know about you, but ain't nothing worse than saying, come on, stay with me, son. Ain't nothing worse than some roots that ain't right. Yeah, Lord. Bless his holy name. Get to the roots. The God I serve goes to the root. Don't y'all get offended. I just want the women of harvest to represent the Lord. Shut up, Foreman. Yes, sir. Okay, let me leave that alone. Shut up. Okay. Down to the roots. Yeah. He wants it to last. Even when it's humid outside, he wants it to last. Even if you got to step into the bathroom and you didn't let the shower run for 30 minutes, he wants it to last. Yeah. All right, number 2. Yeah, Lord. I just want y'all to know the truth. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Number 2, they are discontented. Please don't be offended, anybody, please. I'm just having fun. No. Number 2, they are discontented. They can't be happy for nothing. Get a breakthrough. Well, I'm so happy about my breakthrough. 20 minutes later, they ruin it. They're discontented. Watch this. They grumble. They're petty. They are testy, cranky, embittered. You know what embittered means? Full of bitterness. They complain. They're fretful. I know I'm going fast. You got to get the CD. They're vexed and moody, and they gripe behind pretense. Pretense means they make it up. It's false. They'll complain about something that's not real. I'm the only one around here doing anything. Really? Who told you that? In the words of King Joffrey Jafar. Who told you that? Ask your neighbor. Ask him. Say, who told you that? Who told you? So a passive-aggressive person at work will say, I'm the only one who puts in any work here. You're like, so what the rest of us been doing the whole time? You the only one? At home, a passive-aggressive person will say, I'm the only one that cleans up. You the only one that mess up. So you should be the only one that clean up. I clean the kitchen after I cook. You like to cook, leave the kitchen a mess, and go eat, and then you're mad when you got to come clean it up. You should have cleaned while you was cooking. Yeah, Lord. Yeah. All right, here it is. I'm almost done. They avoid confrontation, and they use legitimate but trivial complaints. Well, I noticed you gave so-and-so 2 cupcakes. Was there something you were trying to say? I was trying to say, whoops. Would you like another cupcake? I thought you was learning from Bishop about how to, shift into a surge. I didn't think you wanted 2. You want 3? Well, no, I just saying, if you got an attitude, you can tell me. Because a cupcake? Watch this. But because they're so used to doing that to people, because they're so used to having ulterior motives and agendas and stuff with people, they think everybody else is doing it like that. So you can say something good to them. You can say something good to them, and they'll come back with something totally different. You can be like, "Wow, that's great. Tell me about this." Well, you're just trying to beat me up. Okay. The third that he says, because I got to get you to the breakthrough. Circuitous. From a note taker, Circuitous. Just let's make sure we get it right. Because some of y'all, I saw Surcotus. That's a medical condition. That is. Now, I'm just being funny, guys. We're having fun. Watch this. Here's Circuitous. They oppose you in a roundabout manner. They're like a labyrinth. You know a labyrinth? It's a maze you can't find the end to. Right. They're ambiguous through procrastinating, being slow, being forgetful, being inefficient, neglecting, being stubborn. And they're indirect and devious in their resentment. It's indirect and devious. So, okay. So, y'all at the office and, they after the meeting, staff meeting, whatever, can you have a staff meeting? And then, they're in the hallway. Some people that work for the company just don't really get those values. Is that to somebody you talking to that's standing over there watching this stuff? This is what he's trying to say. They're circuitous. It's devious. It's roundabout. I'm not quite saying what I'm saying, but I'm saying what I'm not saying. You know what I'm saying? And then when you try to get them to land the plane and bottom line, you're like, what's your point? They don't really have one. Because it's circular in motion. You can't have, watch this, if I help you, it becomes difficult to have clean conversations with them. By clean meaning where it starts and then it ends, and it ends with resolution, not an agreement to put it under the table. You didn't talk, you didn't communicate if all you agreed to do was to not talk about it. Preach, Bishop. These people ain't saying nothing. You didn't just communicate. What you did was just, I ain't going to say that, but it ends with 8. We're just going to talk about this later. See, watch this. You're violating the scripture. Because if later is tomorrow, you violated the principle of the scripture. The scripture says, do not let the sun go down. Meaning, don't let the day end mad about it. Now, watch this. Here's what a passive-aggressive person says. I just need time to I need to not be emotional. I need time to just figure it out. Figure what out? This ain't rocket science. We ain't solving the issues with Iran and Afghanistan. This is simple. You didn't like the fact that I said you shouldn't wear that suit, but you asked me, should you wear the suit? I said don't wear the suit. Now you mad because you think I don't like nothing you wear. Y'all not talking. It's circuitous though. So it's like, how do we get to resolution? How do we get somewhere if the only agreements are to not agree? How do we get somewhere if the only thing we're agreeing to do is to not fix it? We're going to deal with this tomorrow. No, you're out of order. The Bible says fix it now, before that sun goes down. Why? Because when the sun, I feel it here. When the sun goes down, the sun and the moon, the default, come here, command your year, they're setting the next day. And so the scripture says you better set the day right before the sun goes down so you don't set yourself up for a bad tomorrow. Just your neighbor, say fix it fast. All right, but if you're passive aggressive, you think, well, no, we'll just talk about it next week. If you're on your deathbed, was that what you would say? How many folk that left the earth and there's stuff they should have fixed? Stuff they should have said, I didn't mean to say it that way. Stuff, but you sitting here playing passive, aggressive, mad, unforgiveness, bitterness game. Somebody say that's over. All right, watch this. Number 4, they're abrasive. Abrasive. Y'all remember when you used to wash dishes? Because most of us are familiar with the modern invention, the dishwasher. But remember when you used to wash dishes, you had the Brillo pad, right? And you'd use it. Now, you can't use it on your good non-stick stuff. Really, the only thing you could use it on is what? Stainless steel, cast iron. But see, you're going to tear it up the bottom, though, after a while, unless you got a good grease buildup on it. Now, I know something about it. I may not be able to cook in it, but I know how it's supposed to be. Now, watch this. Watch this. Here's what happens, y'all. Here's what happens. They're abrasive, so they're contentious. They want to fight. If it's too good, it's like, something's wrong. Watch this. This is too good to be true. They find something to fight about. They're intransigent. Now I said, Bishop, what is that? They're inflexible even when they're wrong. You can say, here, you were wrong. Well, that's your opinion. No, it's a matter of fact. Well, you just see it differently. No, ain't no other way to see it. This the only way to see it. Ain't no other way to see this here. They're inflexible even when they're wrong. You can be like, it says tithes, offering, and first fruits. And they say, no, it says tithes, offering, and fast fruits. Because we're on the fast. And God wants me to put the fruit I don't eat at lunch in the envelope. Now, I'm being funny so you get the point. Now, you can say, no, see, it says first. Listen. I came here to hear the word. You're still wrong. You don't say fast. We're going to just have to agree to disagree. No, you're wrong. And the moment you admit it, I'll leave it alone. But since you want to fight to be wrong, now I got to teach a lesson. All right, let's finish this. Quarrelsome. They're irritable. Not because of the fast. They're caustic, which means they're sarcastic in a bitter way. They'll say stuff that's intentionally hurtful. Because again, passive aggression. Well, I didn't really care no how. Ooh, but that ain't what you were saying. They're debasing. Oh, this is important. They have low morals. Now, this is important because whatever people do with you, they do to you. So if you see people and they get mad and they have issues, whatever, and then they drop their moral standards and they just start acting extra and beside themselves and ratchet, pick a word. Ridiculous, scandalous, stank, gusty, huh? Ignorant, okay, ignorant. Ignorant is a southern version of ignorant. Y'all got to know your language, Okay? So, here's what happens. Now, when you do that, it's passive aggressive because really what you're saying is, I want to get them back, but it's normally not them, it's somebody else. Watch this. They contradict on purpose. And then listen to this. I want to spell it for you so you can write this down. Please write this one down. D-E-R-O-G-A-T-E. So what does that mean? It means they abandon their responsibilities with little remorse. They're supposed to do X at a certain time. They abandon it and pretty much say, whoops. It's quiet. They don't pick up their kids the time they're supposed to pick them up. But the real reason is they ain't mad at the sitter. They're mad at their mama because their mama never picked them up on time. And so they say, well, my kids can deal with it because I dealt with it. All right? And that last week, they do it with little remorse. It's like, oh, no big deal. You'll get over it. We'll press through. The issue is that you keep stabbing folks. eventually they're going to move out your stabbing radius. And then here's what you're going to accuse them of. You don't care about me. You don't love me. You were never for me. Some of y'all in the front row getting a little nervous. Bishop, please. I just pray that the grace of the Lord keeps it. Okay, I'll move back. Hallelujah. All right. You'll accuse them of abandoning you, when the truth is, through your actions, you abandon them. You'll accuse them of running on you, when the truth is, through your actions, you ran on them. You'll accuse them of rejecting you, but the truth is, through your actions, you rejected them. Because you ain't going to keep stabbing me. After I done said, please don't stab me that way. And then listen, I was merciful. So I was like Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. I understand you did it again. Whoops, you had a mistake. But if you keep on, I'm going to just move out your stabbing radius. Then you're going to wake up one day and say, what happened? What you mean, what happened? I'm tired of leaving from around you bleeding. I'm tired of every time. Bishop, how do we fix it? It's destructive. So to break it, there's only two things to do. Number one, you ready? Don't permit it from yourself or others. When you permit it from others, watch this. Whatever you tolerate, you perpetuate. So when you see people in there with their knife covered in their nice preaching towel, or whatever, here's the deal. You say, no, I will not accept that. No. No. You're just too hard. Nope, you're just too weak. Or whatever it is you want to be today. But you're going to finish this here conversation. Don't permit it from yourself or others. So you say things like this. Well, what does that mean? What exactly do you mean? What exactly are you talking about? Wait a minute. Maybe I wasn't clear. Got it? As I've been learning about this in conversation, sometimes I say, you know what? Wait a minute. Me saying it that way was a bit passive aggressive. No, I take that back. I need to say it this way because I need to just say what I'm saying. See, sometimes, especially when you think you're direct, sometimes you're direct about stuff you're direct about. And you're passive aggressive about stuff you're passive aggressive about. But you think, no, I'm direct. I tell it like it is about those 4 items. But the rest of the stuff in the Frigidaire is a Southern colloquialism, which means refrigerator. Are y'all still here? So you don't permit it from yourself. So midstream, stop yourself and say, no, that's not true. I need to be direct. And this is what it is. And it was, and again, it's never about what somebody else did. It's about what you did. So if you say, I need to be direct, I can't stand you. No, then that's still passive aggressive. Because what that is now you're trying to hurt. So that means you're just a smart passive aggressive. Because you figured out how to make it look like it was something else. No, you say, you know what? Here's the deal. When you say that, it reminds me of what my mama said that to me. And it takes me back to when I was 11 or whatever, when my daddy said that to me, or when he didn't show, and it takes me back to 7. And when you say that, that's where my mind goes. And it's not your fault, it's my fault. But because I care about you, when you say that to me, it takes me there. I'm talking better than y'all saying amen. Number 2, somebody say, don't permit it. You don't permit it from yourself or from others. Number 2, interrupt the crazy cycle. Listen, through forcing yourself to communicate. Bishop, what did you just say? Force yourself to communicate. Okay, Christian people, say force. Now, here's what's important about that. Imagine that Jesus, when he's going through what he's going through, the anthropos, so much God you can't believe he's man, so much man you can't believe he's God. Imagine as while he's dealing with that, he says to himself, and he's talking to himself, because he says Father, but he's really talking to himself because he's the incarnation of himself. But he's showing us what the relationship between a spiritual father and a spiritual son should look like. And he says, if there's any other way to get this done, can we? But then watch this. Watch this. Because that was a bit passive. Then watch what he says. Nevertheless, not what I want, but what you want. I was sent here for this reason. For this reason was I sent. But imagine how he just said, well, can we talk about it tomorrow? He's sweating blood drops. I mean, that's a good reason to be like, I just need to go to the hospital. I need to go see somebody. Have a few moments. He's sweating blood drops. Hematidrosis, it's called. His blood is mixing with his sweat. It's coming out of his pores. But instead, he said, what? Nevertheless. Bishop, how do I force myself to communicate? Nevertheless. Say it, come on. Say it again. Now, I'm not talking about, now again, if you need to come up out of the spirit of extra and anger, you know, I ain't talking about fighting and hitting and all that and cussing and all. I ain't talking about that. That's passive aggressive. Okay, so let's be clear. Because I'm like, Bishop said we need to talk. No, that ain't what I'm saying. What you do, watch this, what you do is you say, you know what? I'm not going to run from the conversation. What I'm going to do, nevertheless. And here's what I'm going to do practically. I'm going to articulate what I anticipate. So I'm not going to email, I'm going to engage. I'm not going to text, I'm going to talk. I'm not going to post it, I'm going to pick up the phone. Why? Nevertheless. Because if I don't do it that way, passive-aggressive behavior has you captive, which means you're a prisoner. And you know who has the keys to the prison? You just borrowed mine. You do. Here's the trip about it, though, is you're also the warden running the prison. You're your only prisoner. Now, the other folks you think you got in your prison because of your unforgiveness, they ain't in there. The only place they in there is in your mind. You're your only prisoner in the prison, and you have the keys to get out. No, lay your hands on yourself. Let's be spiritual. Say your name. Y'all don't know your name? Say your name. Say the name of Jesus. Tonight, you've received revelation, which brings illumination to how I handle life. If it happened to a leader in the Bible, it can happen to me too. But thanks be to God that I can identify it and I can interrupt it. World War Me will not treat other people poorly. Tonight, I renounce and I release passive-aggressive behavior. Give me the grace to not operate that way. In Jesus' name. I am no longer captive to myself. No longer captive to my wounds. I release the pain. I release the hurt. I release the unforgiveness. In Jesus' name. Give God praise tonight if you believe what you declare. I said give God praise tonight if you believe what you declare. You don't understand. Some of y'all are stepping up out of that thing for the first time. You're stepping up out of that captivity for the first time. In Jesus' name. Tonight, if you're here and you've never given your life to Jesus Christ, tonight's your night. He loves you with an unconditional love. And tonight, if you need to become a Christian, 2,000 years ago, God stepped in the body. That body was named Jesus. That body paid the price so that you and I can have life and life more abundantly. The first level of life is eternal life. The second life is the quality of life we live on earth. Can I tell you something? Jesus died not just for you to not go to hell, but he died so that you could bring heaven on earth. That's the kingdom. That's the kingdom. That's the kingdom. Oh, what would happen if people in this region started hearing this teaching about the kingdom and they stopped trying to rush to die, but they started taking time to live? Secondly, if you give your life to Jesus, but you've not been faithful in serving him, you've not been faithful to him, I got good news for you. There's forgiveness for you. We fall down, we get up. We mess up, we get up. We make mistakes, we get up. You know what? The truth of the matter is the only difference between you and some of the great people you read about in the scripture is the time period in which we live. All of our stories are really similar. Been lied on, cheated, talked about, mistreated, bukes going, talked about Susie going up, down, almost to the ground. Been through some stuff. But the truth is you got to make a decision to get up. And I know sometimes it's hard. I get it. I'm going to be real about that. I know sometimes you're like, God, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired. And the truth is, you're not really tired, because if you were tired, you wouldn't take time to say you are tired. What you are is you just want to know that you're going to win when you fight. I'm talking to somebody tonight. Touch your neighbor and say, you are not tired. Quit lying with all that drama. Stop all that. You are not tired. You are not tired. You just want to know that if you fight, you'll win. Announcement, you will. I said you will. Because you're fighting from the victory, not for the victory. So tonight, I come against that tired, all that. Matter of fact, you know what that is? That's Python. I rebuke the spirit of Python off of your life tonight that's trying to choke you out. Not tonight. Not tonight. In the name of Jesus. You need to become a Christian, recommit yourself to Jesus. If you're here at the World Campus and watching online, on the count of 10, I want you to throw your hand up. And when you do, we're going to shout and celebrate for you, because we're all one standing in that same place. 1, 2, 3. If that's you, throw your hand up. God bless you. Let's thank God for the hands online and our Roku sites tonight. Everybody say this with me just in case. Say, Father, in the name of Jesus, thank you for dying in my place. Because of that belief, because of this confession, this is my first time praying this, I am now a Christian. If I was far from you, I'm reconnected to you. Great days are ahead of my life. In Jesus' name, amen. Would you give God praise tonight for the decisions? Sometimes we don't see the hands, but we see the text, and we thank God for that. If you just made a decision to become a Christian, please text the word decision to the phone number 59769. When you do that, we're going to send you a text message that's going to send you some steps to help you serve Jesus faithfully. And we encourage you to attend church faithfully. Somebody say faithfully. For 12 months, starting as a starting place. You go beyond that, but start being faithful. For some people, the reality is what I love about our church is that we have so many people that come from unchurched and de-churched backgrounds and a plethora of different pedigrees in life. And what I love about it is, for many people, this is the first time they've ever served. This is the first time they've ever participated. This is the